Hey everybody, my name is Tuffy Maggio and I am here with my co-host Jason Santana, and this is the Fourth Wall Effect. And today we are joined by two guests, Kevin Perez and Caleb McGraw of the Pokezoo Procaster Team. So, how's it going, guys?
It's going great. I want to thank you guys for having us on. It's a pleasure. I do tune into your podcast when I do my early morning shifts, so that keeps me going through work. But yeah, I'm having a great day.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'm doing well also. I just got finished with our little release event in Denver here this past week and was excited about that. So it went well. It's going well.
Sweet. That's always good to hear. So guys, if you want to go ahead and tell us where you're from, that would be fantastic. Caleb, if you want to start first.
Yeah, I'm from Denver, born and raised here actually. So always had a home base here. That's where I reside.
I'm actually originally from Florida, and I've lived in Florida for 24 years. This is my first year actually not being home. So I now currently reside in Denver, Colorado, and it is a lot better than Florida, so I'm definitely loving it here right now.
Yeah, I hear that it's getting a little bit colder over that way.
Yes, it's like I think we're getting like normal days of it being a highs of like 40s and 50s. So definitely busting out the crew necks and the beanies and all the good stuff.
I bet.
Yeah, we got snow before Halloween this year, so it's chilling down.
It's ironic that you're both from Denver and I'm wearing my Denver hat.
I know. I was gonna say I like the hat,
and I rocked it because from the last Denver event, I decided that now it's a ritual that I pick up a hat from every city that I go to for a Metazoo event. So this was the last one. I threw it on. I haven't showed it on the podcast, but now we're here, and you guys are both from Denver, so that's awesome.
You're advertising
nice.
for us.
I like it.
Let's go.
So what brought you guys to Metazoo? If you could, tell us a little bit about your history there.
You go first, Caleb.
All right. I got into Metazoo originally rekindling my love for Pokemon in my old Yu-Gi-Oh collection. I mean, kind of standard story for my generation. I found my old binder in like 2018 with my base set Pokemon. Got me back into trading cards. Then a couple years later, the boom happens. And during that boom, I got in love with the art of Metazoo, actually, and started collecting. And then I actually came across some Caster Society and Metabros videos. And the gameplay was intriguing to me. No experience actually playing TCGs, so it was totally new. Thought I'd give it a shot. And then I kind of just got bit by the competitive bug early, and I can't stop now, so I'm hooked. And
yeah, we all know how that goes.
Yeah. Yeah. So I actually met Kevin through a TTS event, and then just talking to each other, we realized we were only a couple miles away from each other in real life. So then we started play testing in person, and then really got serious after that. So Kevin helped bring me into it as well.
Heck yeah. A little love story. So I actually started.
That's pretty cool.
Thank you. I started with Metazoo actually about a little bit after Nightfall released, and I actually was collecting Pokemon at the time. Just because I liked Pokemon. I used to play little games when I was younger, like on the DS and then the Game Boy. But then I also played Magic, and I actually played that pretty competitively, but I wasn't I wasn't going to like huge events. I was just like your local LGS grinder, trying to get top 8. But I think Magic is kind of what kind of steered me towards Metazoo, just because one, there was like a little hiatus, so I stopped playing Magic for a couple years. I saw Metazoo on Instagram, I think through Steve Aoki. Looked into the art, I was like, I'm gonna pick up some Nightfall. And then I realized that when I was looking into like the rule book and stuff, it's like, oh, this plays just like Magic. So I was like, played a couple games, once again got bit by the bug, and now we're here. I'm on a podcast talking about Metazoo.
Yeah, there's quite a few people that are moving in from Magic and Yu-Gi-Oh and all those other card games, and it seems like the people that do move in, they have a lot of fun, and there's a lot to Metazoo. It seems like that really reminds you of those other games. So you sit down, you get bit by the bug, and I mean, I know you guys have been playing for a while. Like I was playing in those Caster Society events, the weekly events with you guys in them. I think did you guys start in season 1?
I know I played against you. You were playing Critters and I was playing Flame. Like I was playing the rabbits and stuff. I don't know if that was season. I think that was season. I think that was season 2. I'm pretty sure. But that was my first time actually playing.
I remember I got crushed.
The matchup wasn't not the best matchup, but that was fun. It was fun. You had me top decking.
Yeah, I got in same time, season 1 or 2. Mm-hmm. So we were lucky enough. We just started really playtesting hard in time to qualify for last year's Caster Cup. So that's when I really got serious. That was my first big tournament ever, and I thought it went over so smoothly that I was eager to get back to the next one. Yeah.
So what's why do you guys like Metazoo so much?
Yeah, that's a great question. Honestly, honestly, it's the community. Like I think that if you're just a competitive person at heart, I think Metazoo is a great game to kind of like really test your competitive side, just because there's a lot of intricate like interactions in Metazoo. There's always questions that have to be answered. And I think there's actually quite a bit of diversity considering we have like 5 sets out. But I just think that the game keeps evolving, and that's what keeps people here, because they keep breaking the fourth wall and there's just new cards coming out. So it's just hard to leave. I mean, not saying I want to leave, but it's a great game. I just want to keep grinding and becoming a better competitive player.
What about you, Caleb?
I like the community aspect as well, coming out from like a recovery period from COVID, like no social interaction. I was just turning into like some, hermit, and it's like I need something to do with people in real world, in the real life again. So coming off that, I needed, a community, and this one has been very welcoming, especially for someone like with zero knowledge of TCGs. I had a lot of what I would think of as dumb questions in the beginning, and people were, welcoming enough that I just kept wanting to delve further and further in. And the competitive aspect to me compares to like chess, which I liked a lot when I was young. And if you get into knowing the cards well enough to dive into those intricacies between different interactions, it really is like a chess match, and you're having to think moves in advance and, telegraph your opponent based on their body language and what they've had in their hand already, and all these variables. So it is intricate, and I love the strategic nature of the game. So it reminds me of, my old, days as a kid playing chess with my buddies, trying to be the best or the smartest. So it's fun.
Mm-hmm. No, I definitely get you there. So here's a good one. So Pokezoo Procaster, what is it, and what does that mean to you?
So I actually found out about Pokezoo, or Pokezoo Procaster, over Instagram. I guess he was looking for players to sponsor. So I reached out to him, kind of did like an application just to see, I guess, if I fit the role criteria. He reached out back to me, and he was like, "We would love to have you." But essentially, what Pokezoo is we are a team kind of divided into 2 groups. We have a competitive group, which we play in tournaments as much as we can, and then we have the other group who are very casual. They teach new players, they hold events, learner plays. It's just very casual but fun events. But essentially what we want to do, what the whole purpose of Pokezoo is to spread Metazoo across states that don't know about Metazoo. So that's why we have people in Florida, Colorado, I believe it's forgot where Dave was from. I think it was Connecticut, I believe is the other location, but yeah.
Northeast.
So that's pretty much what the message is. We just want to spread Metazoo across to different states, but we also want to provide a competitive outlet to other players and information as well.
Yeah, that seems like something really good for the community. I mean, there's not too many tournaments going on, like in the smaller states that doesn't have a whole lot of Metazoo, but I think it's starting to grow, and with you guys helping that out, that seems fantastic for everybody. I mean, Oklahoma is where I live, and there's no Metazoo tournaments here, so it sounds like somebody needs to get going over here.
Yeah, we'll send
start it up,
someone over,
boys.
You're the whole community of Oklahoma.
So can anybody join as a Pokezoo Procaster, or how does that process go?
Technically, yes. If Nick is looking to recruit more people, you just have to honestly just have to be a good person. You want to help others and be willing to put the work in. Doesn't matter if you have a year of experience with Metazoo, if you're just starting. He just wants people who are going to branch out and help others and help the game grow. So technically, yes. If he's recruiting, he'll put something out. So technically, anyone can join. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, and there's an application process. If you go to the Pokezoo.com under Procaster, there's an application, so you can submit a TCG resume or just some facts about yourself, regardless of if we're currently branching out or not. You can always apply, and then Nick will go over those. So I've had a couple reach out recently, people that were just interested, and I just told them to apply regardless. If you're interested, you can go to thepokezoo.com and apply under Become a Procaster.
Okay. So who's the ideal Procaster? Like, I know you said be a good person. That's
Just like,
that's good. Is there any other things?
Yeah, that's pretty vague. That's about, let's say, 50% of the population on a bad day. So
honestly, I hate to say it, but yeah, you got to be a good person. You also have to be willing to just pitch out ideas. Like I said, once again, we just want someone who's going to spread Metazoo and also bring awareness to the Procasters too, because when people see our names or our logos, they're gonna be like, oh, those guys are associated with Metazoo, and all in all, that helps the team, and that also helps Metazoo as a whole. So someone who's just has like that, I don't know, like that vibe to do all of that. And once again, it doesn't matter if you're competitive or if you're not. You just have to be willing to put that work in. And I think that's kind of what an ideal Procaster is. Just have a good mindset as well is a big thing too.
Yeah, I can expand a little bit and just say that all the Procasters that we currently have are people that were already ingrained in a Metazoo community, whether they started it themselves or they joined one, and were active on a consistent basis in growing that in a positive way. So I was brought on and we were already hosting events. Sometimes it would just be me and Kevin and one or two other people, and we would pull together prize support from our own collections and host free tournaments, and some other people are more active in the online community, but you just have to be active and consistent in growing the Metazoo community. And if you are that in your area, whether you're a competitive player or an organizer or just a fan with a fan group, I would say it would be worth putting in an application. So
okay.
Yeah, that's what the current ones look like, I think.
Okay. what's the best way to find local Procaster events? So let's say somebody's, fairly new to the game. They hear about the Procaster events that are going on. What's the best way? Where can they find that info?
Through I would say one source would be through the MPN. I mean, we're always, obviously, if we make an event, it's going to be on there. But for someone who doesn't have MPN or isn't familiar with MPN, hopefully they have Discord, because we do post also on the main Metazoo Discord as well. Also, we're on Facebook. We got essentially two groups. The Metazoo Collectors group, we post on there, and then the Colorado group as well. And I know Caleb as well. He makes flyers. He's killer with the flyers. So he's always posting those everywhere. So hopefully that reaches pretty much everywhere where it needs to be. But yeah, you can just find us on also the Pokezoo website. We have like an event calendar. You can see all the Pokezoo Procaster events on there as well.
Right, and that's pokezoo.com?
Correct.
The Pokezoo.com, actually.
The Pokezoo.com.
Yeah. Correct.
Yeah. And if you search in the MPN specific Procaster, that will be in all the titles of the events. But you can also search by area, and filter it out that way. So. Okay.
Fantastic. So you guys are probably fairly busy with Metazoo, and I'm sure you have, plenty going on in real life too. So how do you manage your Metazoo player responsibilities and judging responsibilities, that sort of thing, along with what you do in your just regular everyday life?
All right, I'll take this one. I've got the kids. So,
yeah, that's exactly.
No, we all have busy schedules. Everybody has, their day-to-day lives. This is a hobby for most and a business for those that are lucky enough to make it such. So, I think the main thing is just to make a schedule. I mean, I know Kevin's schedule, I know which days he's available, and he knows my schedule in turn. We can coordinate something that works for both, but we have to make a schedule and be consistent. If we are playtesting on Tuesdays every week and we don't show up for 3 weeks in a row, we could lose half the group. I mean, let's be honest, make a schedule and be consistent is the main thing. And I like it a lot, so it's not hard. I find time to do things that I love, and I'm lucky enough that my kids are kind of liking it too now, so I can knock out some practice and some family time in one go. So that's important for me. I merge the events together. I merge the family and the fun if I can.
Heck yeah.
That's the perfect way of doing it.
Yeah.
For me, yeah, I mean, I'm full-time, so I'm always working a lot. Like Caleb said, it's really just like communication between like me and him in the group. It's like Tuesdays we play test, or we try to play test. Mondays are kind of just up in the air. And then I try, at least in my spare time, or if I'm at work, I'm even doing Metazoo related things at work. Like I'm on my phone and my notepad writing like articles that I have to post later on when I get home, because I'm too tired to write an article when I get home. So I just write on my phone, copy and paste it. We're good to go. So I'm always trying to squeeze in when I can, at a comfortable pace, of course, my Metazoo responsibilities. And thankfully, me and Caleb are both MCOs, so it kind of takes the pressure off of like one of us having to be available for like events. So we kind of just like switch back and forth between events. So that helps a lot too. But really just communication and just trying to squeeze in some Metazoo time when we can, when it's available, of course.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
what do you guys do? I mean, I know you guys are close to full time, but I know you guys have lives outside of Metazoo also. What do you guys do? How do you guys do it?
Jason, do you want to answer
that? Honestly, I have no clue. I have no clue how I do it. I would say that probably the backbone to me being able to do some of this Metazoo stuff is really my wife and how amazing she is. I mean, behind every good man is a strong woman, and without her support, honestly, I probably wouldn't be involved in Metazoo as much as I am. and even with kids and stuff like that, and finding that balance, it's a little difficult. But I would say that it's like you guys have already mentioned, the scheduling and communication. Communication is key to a lot of things, especially in like what you guys have in that team setting, because can't not talk to each other, because then you just miss out on everything. And that's the same thing like if you're dealing with family and your regular life and then your Metazoo life. And me and Tuffy, we talk to each other all the time, so we're like married.
This is my second marriage. I mean, my wife, she's really supportive, and I don't have any kids or anything like that, so it's basically just she lets me do whatever I want. So I'm pretty lucky, and yeah, I mean it's pretty smooth, but
yeah, it doesn't get much
we stay
smoother
busy.
than that.
Yeah.
Nice.
All right. So guys, how do you prepare for a tournament? Is there a routine? Like, if you're not a player and you're judging a tournament, what's that routine? And if you were a player in the tournament, what would that routine be?
Yeah, anytime a tournament comes up that we're actually able to attend, it's like straight to the group chat. It's like, all right, guys, let's do this. So we just meet up at our local game store, Level Summit Games, and we're literally just cranking games for hours. But we try to first we try to analyze like what's being played, and also what people will play to counter what's being played. So we think about all instances, of competitive play. So we'll play test against different decks. We just talk about cards. Sometimes we just meet up to talk about the metagame. Sometimes you just need a break. You can't be playing all the time, so you don't get burned out. But for the most part, it's just a good mix of playtesting, just analyzing what's being played, and then obviously getting the good rest like in between like breaks, because that's also healthy for good gameplay the day of.
Yeah, I never get sleep.
Yeah, it happens.
I regret it the next day, but
myself, I'll build like my 4 favorite decks, I guess, of different archetypes, and I'll have those ready. And then usually when we go to playtest, if he wants to playtest against my best lightning rendition or whatever, then I'll bust that out, or I'll have my cosmic ready to go so we can playtest against the more meta decks. We'll just have those on hand for the most part, and then we'll have like our own 1 or 2 secret sauce decks that we're really testing and trying to iron out and see if we're going to come up with something unique, or some unique combo. My biggest thing is trying to decide and set a deck and not change it right before the event is big for me. I've made last minute changes and regretted them both times before bigger tournaments. So I feel like just playing what and getting comfortable with what against those other meta decks is better than testing 10 different decks. Like I like to test the deck I like the best against all the strong decks, rather than seeing if I would rather play water than lightning. Like, what am I most comfortable with? I'll run that and then test it against everything else and tweak it accordingly, I think. But that's mainly coming from Kevin again. My deck knowledge when I first started was like, let's toss 55 of every good card in a deck and see what happens. It's like a rainbow aura that did nothing, So I've benefited from some coaching as well.
I actually have a question regarding like even pregame stuff. Do you guys like have like any crazy rituals? Or is it always, I'm going to wear this hat, or I'm going to wear this pair of socks, or I'm going to make sure I eat this specific meal before game time? Like, is there anything like unique about, going into a tournament and what that looks like?
Lucky underwear.
Gosh. Honestly, not necessarily a ritual, but preferably like before a tournament, I always tell myself like I want to be in bed by like 9 p.m. I want to be in bed early. But then just being around like your teammates, you're just like, yo, let's crank out some games, and then you don't get to bed till like 2 a.m. I'm like, oh my gosh, what do we do? But I will say definitely the day before, put extra deodorant on because you're just sitting forever over there, man. Put extra deodorant, bring deodorant, Axe, whatever. I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
That's really good advice.
It is great advice.
That's all I'm saying.
I don't know. I'm superstitious in the fact that like if there were a 2-day top and Top Cut was a second day, I would make sure I wear the same shoes and belt. I'm weird about the belt. I would want to wear the same belt that I wore the day before. Not really specific to Metazoo, but if I had a good day at the casino and I'm going back the next day, like on a vacation, I'll wear the same belt and the same shoes.
Nice.
I don't know what it is, but those two things to me, I'll wear the same if I've done well in that in the past. So I'll take note of that for like cons that tend to be 2 days or something, but it's just an odd superstition of mine. I guess if the shoes are lucky, I'm keeping them on, baby.
Hey, makes sense. Makes sense.
See, I would normally do it with like a hoodie and a hat. So I'm a hoodie and hat combo guy. So I would just be like, if that's my lucky, if that's what I did good in the last time, and that's the hoodie I'm going with, if that's the hat I was wearing last time, that's what we're going with. And I actually threw out my last hat that I played in Denver because it's just so trash. As far as like luck factor, trash.
You got beat.
Didn't make the cut.
Threw it down. I'm done
Hat's
with this
gone,
thing,
burned.
Oh, he wasn't losing too much. He was king of the draws. How many draws did you get? Like 5?
4 draws. Yeah.
4? Okay. 4 draws.
Oof,
Yikes.
Yeah.
that's tough.
Just not scooping fast enough on game 2s. That's really what it came down to.
That's
Yeah.
fair.
How about you, Tuffy?
So-
You're just staying so silent over there. Superstitious.
Oh
wise.
gosh. What
Is it
what
the
do I
lucky
do? I
underwear?
don't sleep. You know, you called me out on it. No, I just don't sleep. I just like grind, go through game scenarios in my head, all that kind of stuff. So there's nothing really special that I do besides just unhealthy things.
Okay. And a Mountain Dew. At least a Mountain Dew, right?
At least one. Yeah,
That goes a long way.
My veins
Goes a
flow.
long way.
Yeah.
I can attest.
My
It
veins
does.
I can
flow
attest to
green,
it.
baby.
Yes.
Hmm. Yeah, Jason gives me crap about it all the time. So yeah, but man, don't know. So but is there anything that you guys do to prepare to be a judge at tournaments? Like, do you study up on the rules, that sort of thing? There's an MCO chat, and I know you guys are in there, but is there anything specific that you do to just be prepared for those questions?
I really try. I mean, every time I wake up, the metazoologist chat is like my newspaper before I get out of bed because you miss out on a lot of useful information. I always check the rules index, all that stuff just in case, because those little things that you don't think come up, when you're judging an event, 99% of the time they're gonna come up. So I'd rather know than not know. But I pretty much just try to keep up to date with the MCO chat and the, any updates pretty much.
Yeah, I do as well. I'll read the MZO chat and search like a key phrase if I have any specific like scenarios that I know could come up based on the gameplay or like play testing we've been doing. But I'll read the rule book.
Right?
I still read the rule book to make clarification on how this is exactly worded. Like I need to know, wait, this says this exact word and make sure, because the specifics and having to take wordings literally in Metazoo is like very important. So it's like a smartass's favorite game. Like if you were a smart aleck or a smartass as a kid, you're going to love this game because you take everything literally. Well, how exactly was it worded, Mom? So I'll read the rule book before I go into an event. I just read the rule book before the release event just to brush up on the wordings of everything.
So, is there anything that you guys have discovered lately on any kind of rulings or card interactions that uh, may have surprised you, or anything of that sort?
Oof. Honest, oh gosh, I think I'm trying to remember if it was for the Sentry Box Devil and Seance, because that card is still kind of like up in the air, which is why I'm not playing it right now. I don't know if it's even been clarified if like the using his power to destroy a beastie, if it would trigger the arena effect first, or if it would be the I believe the LP gain. I always forget which one goes first, but I know it's like a question between like simultaneously happening or something like that. But I don't think we still got clarification on like if his power, if Sentry Box's Double's power actually triggers his arena effect. But that's kind of what I'm on the fence about right now, to be honest. Unless you know.
I actually believe that it doesn't trigger the arena effect, because when you activate it, the arena effect isn't there. So it wouldn't, since that's a static effect that wouldn't be active at the time of sacrificing, then you wouldn't get the trigger off of it. But that's something that I was sitting down with some of the R&D in Kansas City at that Collecticon, and they showed us that card, and I was like, that's interesting. I thought it did at first, and then
Okay.
they explained that it didn't. So I was like, oh, okay, cool. But the fourth wall effect requiring a Sentry Box, like, that would be really cool if we could actually have that as a
Right.
fourth wall item. But
Yeah, I just looked up what that was yesterday, so good luck finding one for me.
me too.
I didn't even know what it actually was. I had to look it up.
Yeah, I guess it's basically a telephone booth.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's almost the same except no telephone, but yeah.
Well, I saw a picture of like a little shack in a video game. It's like an ammo shack, and they were like, it's kind of like this, and that was the closest definition. I was like, okay, I'm not gonna bring one with me then.
That's going to be from Mike's pseudo
That'd be
environment
sick.
for sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
I was kind of triggered when we first played the green fireballs or the booger balls or whatever you want to call them. That the arena effect was per card, because my thought process was, well, it's already active in the arena, it can't be active in the arena again, right? But it's per instance, per card, and I found out it did stack by getting walloped by those things, and I was just like, there's no way it can stack, it doesn't make sense. And then we looked it up in the Metazoo chat, and for sure it did, and I lost, and it was real it was just brought me back to life. I was like, well, I'm not that good against these things, they stack. So that was a tough ruling for me, and I remember specifically like thinking that one through logically was tough for me to grasp, but the MCOs had thought of it already, so kudos to them.
No, I hear you there. Like, there's some crazy rulings that just, to me, doesn't make sense, because I've played other games like Magic for over 20 years and things like that, and it's like some interactions are the exact opposite of what I'm used to, so I'm always battling in my head like, whoa. So I kind of wish that I didn't have those experiences in other games sometimes, but Okay, so what have you guys learned about teamwork from being on the Procaster team, and do you think it's helped you overall, or?
Yeah, I have. I do think being on the team has helped me for sure. Strictly in regards to teamwork, it's just taught me to kind of not underestimate someone or take their TCG experience for granted. Like my son, who just picked up the game last month, could teach me something just as much as Kevin, who has 10 years more experience, can teach me something. So there's something to learn from everybody and their grasp of TCGs. And then it's helped me kind of realize that the competitive environment is totally different from the casual environment. Being on the team with these guys, it's a totally different mindset when you're playing and there's money on the line. And I would do some casual things like intentionally draw because I knew the person and they asked me, not thinking about it's going to diminish my odds for a top 8. So my competitive mindset didn't kick in, and these guys, you know, my teammates helped me realize, like, no, you go for the win every single time. This is a competition, you know, stay focused. So it helps me in that regard as well.
And this would be your first time on a competitive team as well. Is that right, Caleb? Unless you were on competitive chess at one point.
No, yeah. I mean, I love sports my entire life. So I was competing growing up, very competitive in sports. But as far as TCG or any other team like that as of late, since I was out of high school, yeah, this is the first time.
So you guys have been playing Metazoo for quite a while. Probably, I think earlier you said at least since Nightfall, being involved in Extravaganza for Caster Society, as far as competitive, and now up until today, more than almost at least a year later. What has been your greatest challenge overall that you can remember within Metazoo when playing Metazoo, and what ways did you overcome those challenges? As far as maybe it was like a specific gameplay move, or maybe a blunder that you had made earlier that you maybe corrected yourself. Just tell me something about like challenges and what maybe other players might see in the future while they're playing the game, and how you can help them.
That's a good question. Honestly, I would have to say is definitely just take the time to like reread your cards a lot, because there's gonna be times, that's happened to me a lot, where you're playing with I don't know, this really good card, and then your opponent's like, that's actually not what it does, and then you reread it right there and then you're like, oh, you're right. And then I think it's just being knowledgeable of your cards has been the biggest thing when it comes to playing Metazoo, because even now, like, I read a card, I'm like, holy crap, that card's busted, and then I actually take the time to read it 2 more times, like, oh, that's not actually what it does. So I think you just get too excited to read something and you just kind of read it too fast without actually, especially with Metazoo where words is like, everything is super literal. Yeah, I think it would just be reading over your cards as probably like the biggest thing, and not assume what they do.
I'd say my biggest challenge, I don't know. Initially, I thought it was a challenge breaking into the TCG community as a whole and like feeling accepted. But the second I reached out direct to someone in the space, it was the exact opposite. They were more than welcoming. It was more of like a preconceived notion at the beginning that, oh, I don't know as much, so I'm not welcome. But that wasn't the case. So that was a challenge I made up. Currently, I think my challenge is keeping competitive decks as close to 40 cards as you can. Until you experiment with some maybe of the new mechanics, maybe some of the water cards can change that. But when I run a 40 card deck that I know is competitive and streamlined, on average, I just do so much better than even like a 46 card deck that I just added a couple 0 drops in. They're just 0 drops. They won't hurt. I'll just throw them in. But no, competitively keeping my decks to 40 is the toughest thing in Metazoo. There's so many good cards I just want to toss in, and it's just it's not that big a deal, or it's just a 0 drop and you just got to keep them close to 40, man. The numbers don't lie. You got to stay consistent. So that's my big.
Jay has a problem
Damn,
with that.
Yeah.
Jay has a big problem.
He said that real fast.
I mean, I was playing 80 card on TTS the other night.
Dude, we had a friend that was running 74 as well, and he did good with it for a while. It's like they can win, right? But I was like, oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Draw his aura, everything. I'm like, I can't even draw down to 40. I'm like, what? Yeah. This doesn't add up.
I was playing water, so at least I can draw some cards. But it's it like you said, it's not good anyway. It's just you have to stay consistent. But it's definitely good advice, at least for the people that are new to Metazoo and don't think that they can't reach out, or they're like maybe scared of talking to somebody that's, what they might preconceive as a higher level than them, whether it's on a coaching or professional level or even just a collector level, like, oh, so what if they have like a $1 million collection? Pokezoo is a great example. You can just walk right up to him and just shoot the shit with you, which I think is
reach out for a
awesome.
trade. Just do for whatever.
Yeah.
So what made you guys decide to be MZOs?
Honestly, the community here, at least a while ago, pretty much a little bit after me and Caleb met a year ago, there wasn't too much of a Metazoo community here. And for like the same 4 people that we all met up and played games with, it's all fun, but you play the same 4 people over and over and over. You know what decks they play. It's just like, eh. But essentially, I wanted to become a judge because one, I wanted to learn. I wanted to go more in depth with the game, especially since I saw myself becoming a lot more competitive in the future, and just playing in more tournaments. But also, I wanted to host or be able to judge tournaments, especially here in Colorado, where we're literally the only people, I'm pretty sure, that are throwing tournaments here in Colorado. So we essentially wanted to be MZOs for the community, just to host things and have more people come out, and that way we have a judge on hand too. So I think that would be my reason, at least, to become an MZO.
Yeah, same. I wanted to have some competitive events, and Kevin did as well. And sometimes it's hard reaching out to the LGSs directly, or to get the owners on board to get one of their staff to learn the game if they don't already, and then take the test and all of that. So we just took the test and thought, well, if we become MZOs, we can judge. All we need is the space, right? So we want to make it as easy as possible for these other people to step in and join. And it's nice having 2 of us close together. We can, alternate who judges the event and who plays. Since you can't play in a sanctioned event to gain points and stuff, we're going to have to, tag team that role in the Denver area. So yeah, that was key for us.
Yeah, being an MZO it's a lot of fun, and then it's also like people are looking up to you to ask like questions, get rulings, and all that kind of stuff. I'm sure you guys get messaged all the time with that kind of stuff, and it's a lot of work, but it's really fulfilling at the end of the day.
Yeah, and a lot of the times I've noticed being an MZO is just the authority to have your opinion heard amongst other MZOs on why you would think it would be ruled a certain way. And like, I just have authority to read the Metazoo rulebook and make a determination on how I think it would rule. But more often than not, the answer is, wait, I don't know. Let me go check with my other MZOs. And then you reach out to the chat, and it's really a communal effort for a lot of these rulings. Like, I'm not just saying this is the ruling because I say so and that's right. It's a lot of MZOs coming together and reaching out to figure out the best way and the most fair way it should be ruled based on how it's written. So that was cool for me to find out once I became one.
Literally, just I agree with that. Like, it's cool just to see a whole bunch of like MZOs finding these weird broken things in the game, trying to figure out how exactly they work. And most of the time it's us, the MZOs, that actually figure out how the actual rulings are, and like the card interactions. So it's kind of cool to watch us all like brainstorm or like dive into that and actually just figure that out as a team. So and also to go back to what you said about people kind of like looking up to you, like that's 100% fact. Because like when me and Caleb are at an event, you hear across the room, "Hey Caleb, does this do this? Hey Kevin, does this do this?" I think that's awesome. Like, I always smile. I'm like, it's just cool to be a source for people when they have questions. So it's awesome.
All right, here's a really good one for you guys. What Let's go ahead and start with Caleb on this one. And what are your top 3 favorite cards in Metazoo?
Ooh. So, when I was a collector and now that I've transitioned to a player, they've definitely shifted and changed. Right now, I'd have to say the original Walking Sam is one of my favorite. I was rocking Spirit for a long time, and it hasn't always been very viable before this most recent release, so I love him. I love... Ooh, this is tough. Barbecue Sam, I have to say. Barbecue Sam is up there. I've played him recently, and he's so good, and I think it's cool that, you know, I get to benefit from the boost from being an American citizen, you know? Suck it, Canada. So I love that card. Sorry, that was just a joke. No offense to anybody Canadian. They're the most polite people. That's why I have to joke with them, because they can take it. So Father Sam, and then not for playability reasons, but just for the lore, the Rocky Mountain Barking Spider. I love that card. I love that card. I love the Rocky Mountain Barking Spider. As growing up, you know, my family members would blame the barking spiders. Their flatulence would get blamed on the barking spiders. So that was a real thing in my life that I heard growing up. And when I first opened one up and saw it, it was nostalgic, you know, brought me back to the good old family reunions and stuff. So
That's pretty
those
awesome.
are my 3. Yeah.
Oh, it's my turn. Well, I have to start off. First card is definitely gonna have to be Explosive Rabbit. I've always loved cards that were just like fast, kind of getting your face, especially coming from like Magic and stuff. You know, where a lot of the aggro decks were like red or white. But yeah, I love Explosive Rabbit. And then my second would be Barbecue Sam. That card is just too strong. Like, it benefits to be an American citizen, man. Like, yeah. I can't tell you. Like, that card is nice. And also, it's like one of those cards, you know, when Lightning was first a thing. Like, when I first started playing Metazoo, and I would play against Lightning, I'm like, Quetz is so broken. Like, how do you beat Quetz? Like, that card, it makes no sense. And then when you play against, like, Barbecue Sam, it's like, oh, I get to take 12% of your life? Okay, cool. So, that card's sweet. And then I think my third would have to be Explosion. I think that's probably like my favorite interactive removal, just because that card has so much utility. It's just like, cool. I can either kill a beastie, or I can destroy one, cripple one, or I could do 60 to the face. So like, so much utility for one card. And once again, like, I love pretty much anything flame, but that's like my favorite flame skill.
So do you guys have any, like, if you had to pick a card from Seance, what would be your favorite card from that set?
Ooh, that's a tough one. Favorite card from Seance. Well, I don't know about playability. I think there's some interesting artworks and combos. Like, I think the Ice Worm Cement Worm combo and promoting Earth Frost is very interesting. I'll just keep it short though. Shanahook,
Okay.
the Darkwater Frog, he's probably my favorite card. I think he's a nasty little sucker, and I love the Dark Water combo, so I'm really
there's a interaction that a lot of people don't know about Shanahook yet, but I'm sure you could tell everybody what happens when your opponent plays a New Year's New Beginnings and you put Shanahook in play.
Oh, well, you can play him in response even, and then you will both draw 7, right? Discard, draw 7, but then them drawing 7 will trigger you, so you will in turn be drawing 14 to their 7. So you'll double up your hand on their hand. Be like, thanks, dude. Here.
I'm scooping.
Now I have double. It's awesome. And then anytime Yeah, it's so good also. But you guys can play around with that card. It's solid. That's my favorite so far.
Man, I wish it was 3. I wish we could say 3 because it's like really hard. I'm gonna name I'm gonna name 1 and then I'm just gonna name 2 real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
Let's see. All right, one card that I think is just so good is that stupid Humble Dumple. Like that card is. I hate that card. Like I love it, but I also hate it. I mean, we all know what Humble Double does. It's like, all right, cool. I'm gonna resolve everything I play, and then I get a 3-drop 120 LP beastie. That's just gonna be super. Actually, 2 technically. Yeah, that card's just insanely strong. But I'm glad that that adds to Earth, so Earth can get a little bit more play. I think, and then 2 more. Burning Effigies. I'm not gonna even go into that. Card's busted. And then 3. I'm not gonna even talk about that. 3 is gonna be the Manchic Swamp Skeletons. The only reason why I'm gonna say that is because I actually think that card's really playable. And 2, I'm glad to see recurring beasties or recursion in Metazoo. And I think that card's super sweet. Like, yeah, it doesn't have a lot of LP. But the fact that as long as I have Aura, I can keep bringing them back. I think it's going to be super useful, and it makes Swamp Priestess a lot better too. So that's also a great card. One of my favorite cards.
Jay, what's yours?
What's my favorite card from Seance?
Yeah, what's yours?
I'm just gonna go with with just Possession Aura, I guess. I mean,
okay.
Only because, I mean, it has so much viability, and I guess it just allows for somebody to be able to side deck so much better. Because, usually your side deck is so limited to, these special cards that are only like interact with your main deck mainly. But now you can really push the limit with observing your opponent, and since there's so much removal and so many new interactions with Seance, you can just play with your opponent now, with those side deck cards that are kind of just standing out and alone in its own set. So I think more people will start looking at more metagame opponent thought processes and start elevating their level of thinking when it's like really starting to turn into like this chess match of figuring out what your opponent is doing and what they're going to side out with, and now you're bringing something in and it's like a total surprise, because now you can play like Water and Dark when you have a Spirit deck, or you have a Cosmic deck now, because there's so many little these 1-drops and 2-drops, and the Possession Aura against whoever you're playing against can change a lot of different things.
Yeah, if you side, like you said, you can play with your opponent. If you side the Possession Aura and water cards and just wait for your water matchup, and you can flip-flop it on them, then you can toss that stuff in and literally just play off your opponent, and you don't have any water aura to generate, but you know that you will because of them.
Yeah.
It's going to make for a lot of interesting stuff.
I want to say I love that card too. The only thing that would piss me off is if I drew a hand and that was the only aura in my hand with a lot of good cards. I'm like, damn, I got a mulligan, because then I just can't use it. But that card's still great in my opinion. I'm still gonna run one.
Yeah, my favorite card, Jay already knows this, it's probably All Hallows Eve, because it's just so busted. And then like it goes really well with the Chibi Salem's Witches and Trick or Treat Town, the Terra. So you can play literally just like a control deck that, all it does is removal and that sort of thing, and then All Hallows Eve and use all your opponent's beasties just to win the game. But
that's sick. That's gross.
Yeah, I mean,
that's gross.
We'll see how.
Now we're gonna see it for sure, and then people are gonna come back to this podcast to this exact part when you mentioned it. The card's so good.
You guys want to plug anything specifically, or how can people follow you, or are there any LGSs near you that you want to shout out?
Yeah. First off, you can follow me on Instagram, and I'm at McFrog_MZO. And then we're on Discord and on Facebook in the groups as well. The Facebook group is just called Metazoo Colorado, so you can find us in there. And then all of our sponsored content and everything like that you can find as well, including Kevin's articles, you can find on thepokezoo.com. So just go to thepokezoo.com.
Yes, sir. So my Instagram is Burned by Kevin. Very straightforward there. You can also find us on, once again, Facebook, Metazoo Colorado. We're all pretty interactive there too. So great place if you reside in Colorado. Even if you don't, we make some trades there. And also, thepokezoo.com. Got plenty of great articles. I take the time to write for everyone to read. So if you're bored, on your break, trying to kill some time at the gym, check out my articles. I really put the time in that. So.
And if somebody wanted to compete against you, where can they go to compete against you live?
Anywhere. TTS, level 7, my apartment, whatever. They got to come to me, though.